Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Beaumont, and welcome to Build My Brand. This is a series all about how to build a great brand for your business, and my special guest throughout this episode and the entire series is Debbie O'Connor. She's a brand strategist and has worked with literally hundreds of businesses to help them to take their ordinary brands and turn them into extraordinary ones. Now, the topic for this interview is how to infuse your brand in your social media. A really important topic, and we have the expert herself right here. Let's get into it right now. Debbie, welcome back.
Thank you, Dale.
All right, so just quickly summarize for people this journey we've been on so far. What are some of the things that we've covered, and then where does this sit in?
So we've been talking all about branding. So understanding exactly what a brand is, finding out what our brand personality is, telling our story, crafting and telling our brand story. From then looking at all the visuals, so whether it's our logos, colors, fonts, those visual connections that people have. We've looked at images, tagline, we've looked at the online presence from a website point of view, and now we're looking at the social media point of view.
And why do we choose to separate these? Because now I'm guessing social media is, it's so big now, we couldn't really just, lump it onto the end of a website. It's really needs its own thought, its own care and strategy, because there's so many different platforms, right?
Yeah, that's 100% correct, because it is so huge these days, and social media is so much part of our lives that we really needed a whole episode on this to try and cover off on everything. Because when you look at the amount of social media platforms there are to use today, we can't go through all of them today. We don't have the time. So we're going to only be looking at the main ones, the top level ones, the ones that most people know and use on a very regular basis. Those are the ones we're going to look at today.
All right. Now, I think it's really important. We're talking about infusing your brand into your social media. So if you're building a brand around speed and efficiency and getting back to people quickly, and maybe you are doing that in your business, but when people go to your social media page, you haven't put anything up in 3 months, and the last time that they sent you a direct message, no one actually replied. So there's a real mismatch, right, between what you're trying to go for and maybe what you're doing inside your business, but you're not doing that in your social media and in your other assets. So really important to make sure it's the same across the board.
It needs to be the same across the board, but you also have to keep in mind that social media is social. So that is something to really, take on board when you're developing your brand in a social media platform. But you're 100% correct. You can't say that your brand is agile and quick and responsive and all these things, where on social media, you're sluggish and slow and, behind the 8 ball. You really have to align it with your brand and have your strategy with that too.
Because a lot of people, they may have poor quality images, or they might be having stuff there that's inappropriate. They could be inconsistent. They might have no presence there whatsoever. And maybe if they're trying to be a brand that's relevant to the younger market, and they're not even on Instagram or they're not on Snapchat, then they're really it's just confusing for people. It's just like you're saying one thing, but you're doing another thing. I just don't get it. And that's what really has people kind of withdraw from your brand, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And, understanding the different platforms. So you cannot be all things to all people. I think that's what we ascertained right in the beginning when we were talking about branding. And the same thing goes for social media. You need to pick and choose very distinctly what you're going to use, and then be good at it. So don't go and do everything and be rather ordinary at everything, but rather take a platform or 2 platforms that you can really excel at, and then focus on those.
Okay, so there's the first big takeaway right there, and that is that because there are depending on your definition of a social media platform, but there's 50 or 100 different ones that are out there, all different kind of shapes and sizes. There's probably about, 7 to 10 that we talk about regularly, and we'll go through some of those. But what you're saying is pick maybe 1, 2, or maximum 3 and do them really well instead of trying to do 10 or 20 poorly. Is that your first tip?
That's exactly right. And each one has something good about it. So you need to look at it and say, does this align with my business? Is this align with my brand? Is this something that's going to benefit? Because social media might be free, but it's not cheap in that it takes time to, post things. It takes time to decide what you're going to be doing on social media. And so time is money, and you can't spend, a lot of people get stuck with their social media because they go on to post something and then an hour later they've realized, man, I've been looking through everybody's posts and liking this and sharing that, but I actually haven't done any of my work. So it can be a dangerous little ditch to slide into.
All right, now let's talk about some of the different platforms, and I'm guessing you'd recommend people doing some research because you can type in, for example, Facebook demographics or Pinterest demographics, and there's lots of research online that says the age of people, the gender, maybe their even income levels, people on those platforms as well. What are the types of businesses that normally do well on those platforms? And so you're saying be decisive, pick 1, 2, or maximum 3, and that's it. Don't try to do too many.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. And you can go and do a search, find out all the information. But in a nutshell, I'm going to go through a couple of them and tell you a bit about them. So Instagram is very visual. This is photos and videos. These are where people they take photographs of their breakfast and they let everybody know. Do you know what I mean? But they might be out and about and take a photograph of beautiful scenery, or be able to video some quirky thing that's happening in the street, or whatever it is. But the reality is that Instagram is very, very visual. You cannot link your posts to a website. There's only one place you can put a link, and that's in your bio. So anybody that wants to link to a website needs to say link in bio, and that bio then needs to link to where you want it to go. So it is limiting as to where you can direct people to.
So great for businesses that have a visual aspect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anybody trying to tell that visual story. And because you can now post videos on there of up to a minute, it does mean that you can have both your still photos and you can have your moving videos as well with sound and movement.
And we have a whole bunch of other episodes all around how to use each of these platforms. In fact, we did an episode right here in the studio with a person called Peter Bone that has 500,000 followers on Instagram. And so you can drill down into all of the other videos that we have within the app, and you can check them all out. We're not going to go through them in detail right now. This is a very quick overview. All right, next one.
So the next one is Facebook.
I recognize these ones.
Yeah, and these are, the icons that you use to say how you feel about a particular post.
So we're talking about Facebook, yeah?
Yes, Facebook. And Facebook is your most sociable of your social medias, in that people like to be entertained. They like to be sociable on here. So if you are interacting with people on Facebook, try not sell to them. They don't want to be sold to. So this is where you would post funnies and things that connect people to your brand on a more authentic, personal level. So if people are looking for stuff after hours, that's where they might find stuff coming up on their Facebook feed. Events to go to, where to shop, where to eat, that type of thing.
Okay, and so make it personal, make it fun as well.
Absolutely.
And share great stories.
Absolutely. Yeah. People on Facebook really do want to be entertained.
And your business is just a part of that because it's your life anyway. But it's not just a pure business channel. You really got to make sure you keep it personal as well.
Yeah, because it was never designed as a business channel. It has adapted into a business channel. Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Twitter, fast-paced, really, frenetic. You watch a Twitter feed and it just goes at a huge pace. This is where you can add links. You do a lot of hashtagging, only 140 characters, and it's very, very quick.
And you can be solely focused on your business because people that are interested in that can then follow you. You don't
And
have to talk about what you had for breakfast on.
No. And if there's a particular hashtag that you want to jump onto, you can always use whatever hashtag's going around, whatever's trending, and you will appear in those feeds for people that are following particular hashtags.
All right, the next one.
Okay, LinkedIn. This is your online CV. So it's very professional. This is the space that you go to put all your expertise and connect with people that are more looking for business relationships.
So you're not necessarily, putting up inspirational quotes. You can do that a little bit, but people are really getting tired of just people turning. I've even saw a post the other day on LinkedIn. We're sick of LinkedIn becoming Facebook. Keep all that stuff on Facebook. Here we're talking about people's professional careers.
And look, you can blog on LinkedIn, so you can really position yourself as an expert in your field. So this is your professional platform. This is where you go to for all the professional style work that you do.
Okay.
And the last one that we've got up is YouTube. So YouTube is your video channel. This is where you can put short little video snippets, anything from, the day at the beach all the way through to doing a whole product review, or demonstrating how a particular product works, how to set up Instagram. You can literally do anything as far as video related and put it up on YouTube and start getting traction from that.
Okay. Now, of course, there are many others as well. We're not going to give you a full list right now, but there's, of course, Snapchat and Pinterest and Periscope and Vine and Medium and whatever other one pops up next month, because they're coming out all the time. But the main takeaway from the first part of this interview is to pick the 1, 2, or maximum 3 that really you think that you can do justice to. Hopefully you enjoy as well, because you're going to be hanging out, a bit here as well, and you hopefully want to enjoy the experience and the platform as well, and get good at just those couple as opposed to trying to do too many.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right. So once you've made your selection of the different channels, then it's obviously important to claim your handle, right? To try and get a name that is actually either your personal name you want to kind of secure. Hopefully you have it already on Facebook, but you want to try and secure your business name if you're using it for promoting your business.
Yeah, look, as close to as you can. Sometimes these names are already taken, so you might have to think outside the square a little bit, see if maybe there's a hashtag that you might be able to use. But if ultimately you want it to be your business name, so people can remember it and they can search for it directly. So that's ideally what you want to do.
So that's the facebook.com/ the name of your company, or it could be twitter.com/ again. So try to make all those consistent, and then all of them offer you the opportunity to have some custom branding, right? Oftentimes called your profile picture or your cover art. And again, you want to make sure that they all look like they belong together. That's really important.
Yeah, it is really important, so that when people go from one platform to the next, especially if you're linking them, that they can see it all belongs to the same business, and that they're getting a consistent message. Now, what you would then put on Facebook, you might not necessarily put on Twitter.
So that's another big takeaway as well. Don't put the same thing across everything, right?
Yeah.
You might want to change the tone and also the frequency on different platforms, and also the medium as well.
Yeah.
Twitter is obviously great for text, and Instagram's great for images.
Yeah, and so that's a really important part of your strategy when you start planning out what you're going to be doing, when you're going to be posting, and how often, what time of day, what are you going to be saying? Does it have a hashtag? Doesn't it have a hashtag? Are there going to be links to web?
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.